So since I've pretty much finished the layout, apart from some detail work, it's now in a fully operating condition. We've drawn a couple of operating sessions, so I'll show you each of the elements as we go through. So first in front of you is Rogers Yard. That's the main yard on the layout. 6 tracks. So the 4 tracks at the back are classification tracks for switching for arriving and departing trains. Where you see the locomotive, that's the locomotive track, which services the Virginian H1644 switcher, which runs the branch, and the 080 Norfolk and Western switcher, which you see in front. So, and the track closest to you is Rogers Freight Depot of the Roanoke Freight Company in Virginia, which handles all way freight as it transits through onto the Virginia branch line and the other elements of the Catherine Division. So some of the elements you can see, we'll pan around, whoop, sorry, static zooming. So there's the freight sheds, delivery trucks arriving and departing. Got a bit more work to do on the inside, but it's not looking too bad. There's the yard switcher. It's a Walthers 080 Proto. Started off as a nickel plate road, and I've renamed it for the Norfolk and Western using decals, and it has a caboose on the front that uses a switching platform. We come down the front, there's the way station. It's a fully operating way station, so I can scroll down here as you see the entrance road. Zoom out a bit. So there's the way station. So fully operating. So as the trains cross there, they trigger a IR sensor, and then, so if I put my finger across it, oh, I switch it on. So the yellow light says it's on, red says the train off it, and that is done, green to go, and you can move on to the next carriage. Pretty cool. So comes from Boulder Creek Engineering, and certainly adds a bit of interest to the railroad. Right, so come back up. Another key element within Rogers Yard is the station at Rogers, so which takes some way freight and handles all the passengers' luggage. You can see the station there, and if you can sort of see into the building, there's an interior in the building. Passengers waiting on the outside. It's all pretty cool. Alright, car park for the cars. Okay, the other thing you'll see here is the waybill boxes. So these are based on the Micromark waybill system. I've made my own for the Norfolk and Western. Built my own boxes, not as neat as the ones you can get from Micromark, but still pretty good. Alright, we'll move on to the next spot. So we'll swing back across the main entrance road past the yard and see here, so this is one of the industries at Rogers, which is Woodrow's Mills lumber. It's one of the local industries we switched during an operating session. Okay, and that's it for the Rogers Yard area. What we'll do now is we'll switch to the next major part of the layout. Okay, so as you come eastbound, so where I finished the pan in the previous shot, you come eastbound, come out of these tunnels, and you can see there on the right hand side with the black ballast is the Virginian branch line, and then you've got the Catherine Division main line in the middle, and then on the left with the switch, which as you look at it goes out into staging, That is the Norfolk and Western main line, which heads out to Roanoke and Lambert's Point, where all the coal goes. So, as a sort of, I'll pan down to give you a look at this part of the layout. So I've got a fence I've got to complete along the river here. There's a river. Looks like she needs a bit of a clean on the river. I'll give you a bit of detail there. I've got horses, which is why I need to finish the fence. And you can see where I've got the fence to, so I've got a bit more to make. So, as we follow the main lines along, farm down the side, trees and fences. Alright, and we get into the town of Katherine. So, for which the division is named after. Alright, I'll just move down there and we'll have a look there. Okay, so here's a little station at Katherine. There, for passengers and freight on the stop off, either on the way to Rogers or the way back down to Roanoke. Come across the other side of the road, running into Katherine, and you've got the pub. Of course, the police are there. Alright, we're heading the main road in town, across the Virginian branch. We've got the Katherine store there, where all the produce is, and the deliveries and pickups. You see one of the dump trucks, which is heading up to the Champion Mine in Katherine, to pick up the wastage. And then we've got a couple of miners' cottages where the miners for the Champion Mine live, the ones who live local. We've got the mine supervisor up the top, and a couple of the foremen are there. The rest of the miners live out of town and come in on the train. Alright, so we scan around, and there we have Champion Mine. So 2 loading tracks and a waste bin, which is, and the waste is taken away by truck. See a couple of miners going to work, and one of the dump trucks loading. Alright, that's the town of Katherine. Now if we come up past the foreman's cottage, you can see one of the Virginian branch line trains who's dropping around some empties into the mines. And here we've got a passing track which comes up, and then over this small hill here is the town of Frank Hill, and there's a mine up there, so we'll head up there and have a look. Okay, here we are at Frank Hill. Here's the Frank Hill mine. So the loading facilities of Frank Hill mine are truck dumps. So trucks bring coal from the mine down to the truck dumps and then dump it into cars that are waiting. And then just near it is Southwest Drilling Supplies, which handles all the supplies for the miners that work up and around Frank Hill mine, as well as the mining supplies for Frank Hill itself. And eventually the left-hand track there, as you can see in the backdrop as it goes off into the distance, eventually I'll be putting a module on there that goes out that way into the town of Barton, where it'll service a mine up in Barton. Okay, so that's all for the main layout. We'll go down to the other way and we'll go in to have a look at the staging yard, which represents Roanoke and Lambert's Point. Alright, here's the staging track, so where I pointed out before, that comes out here. So it's a pretty big staging track. I'll sort of pan across. So the staging track represents the Illawong branch, which that shed up the back here, I'll just point it out if I can get my finger in there. So that shed there is on the Illawong branch, so those two freight cars are sitting there at the Illawong branch, and these two sheds here represent industries at Roanoke. So that is the Roanoke Freight Company Roanoke depot, and that's Woodrow's Mills depot in Roanoke. So you can see that there's cars there that service the two industries that correspond on the layout. So as you sort of come forward, the tracks are all laid out depending on location. So you've got so the far side represents Roanoke and Katherine, which is the far track. Then the next two tracks represent Lambert's Point. Where the passenger cars, you can see in the centre track, they represent the passenger stops, both at Lambert's Point, Roanoke, and Mallet, which are all on the passenger route. The next one with the full hoppers represents a mine on the Illawong branch, which is the EB and Brody mines, EB Brody mine and the Lorna mine. So eventually they will be actual modules once I settle down a bit. The next two tracks are engine tracks, and you can see the locomotives there. So the freight, mainline freight is serviced by Y6B Norfolk and Western, and then the passenger train is a Norfolk and Western J-Class number 611. The next track along is the caboose track. You can see one caboose there, and then I've got a spare engine track over here, which has got my A-Class on it. And then right at the front here, I've got a couple of test track, check a couple of heights on cars and things like that. And then the grey track, which has these two freight cars on it, is my test track. At the moment I'm temporarily stirring some work on there, so this is some of the weathering that I've been doing on freight cars. That's using pastels, artist pastels. You can see there, pretty happy with those. Alright. And then I do have a water tower, and this is one of the BLI water towers. So I'll go and hit the button and have a look.
We're behind schedule.
It's pretty cool. Kids love playing with that one, so I haven't had a main interest. But anyway, that's the staging track. In front of the staging track here, I've got my workbench, which is it looks pretty messy. So the soldering station, programming laptop, main work area with paints and things because I've been doing some work. Just keeping all sorts of random stuff, and then drawers. So that's the main part of the layout. So the underneath the layout, you can see I've got all my spare trains stored underneath here. As we sort of pan around. So these stores are all my collection of American passenger trains, and then on the other side I've got spare stuff that I don't run very often. I usually run stuff in there, some of my British stuff. So yeah, so it's all pretty good. So I'm going to show the viaduct over the gulch to Virginian locomotive moving across there, and in the valley underneath there's a few campers having a fat old time. So that's it. That's pretty much an updated layout. So I hope you enjoy it. Quick pan back across the yard. So I hope you enjoyed the update video.